Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Bloody Good Horror. My name's Eric, and I'll be your host for this evening, where we will be reviewing Glorious, a movie whose subject matter we'll discuss here in a second. First up, joining me from Manhattan, New York City, please welcome John Schnars to the show.
You really mailed it in on that description of Glorious.
I like to think of it more as
a
like
movie whose subject we may or may not discuss.
I like to think of it more as a tease, John. That's what we in the industry call that, a teaser, which is thematic, I think, actually.
We could have workshopped that one beforehand, is all I'm saying.
Next up on the show from Indiana, please welcome Casey.
Hello.
And that's it tonight, everyone.
Yeah.
For perhaps the first time in BGH history, just the three of us. Since we've been having guests throughout the last year, so I think we've had at least one guest on almost every episode. And then, or Caitlin was around, so now it's just us tonight, everyone.
Tonight on a very intimate BGH.
This evening.
Yeah. I mean, we've done, I would say it's probably less than 10 three-person episodes ever.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I've never not enjoyed one. They're fun.
Well, there's a lot more room for you to just let it all hang out, Eric.
You betcha.
Me specifically, yeah. So, John, this Glorious movie here we're going to discuss in a minute. It's about a thing called a glory hole, John. Now, pretend that I don't know what this means. So could you now, on the record, in video and live on the internet, pretend like I don't know? Just explain to me what this is.
I mean, I can do this in a PG, probably more like PG-13
Please.
way. I mean, all right, so I assume this is only a male bathroom situation, but maybe in female bathrooms. I don't know. Like, I don't go in the female bathrooms, so it's hard to know. Sometimes people, presumably men, almost always men, put holes in the stall of public restrooms or you know, like frequently used private restrooms. And that hole is meant to accommodate sexual activity.
When two people love each other.
When two people love each other and are in public and need a place
Facilitates anonymous sexual activity
yeah.
is, I guess, part of the key to that. Yeah. Much to my surprise, when this was all I knew about this movie. We got other stuff to do before we really get into it. But hey, this is a glory hole movie. This is what we're doing. I'm like, okay. I assumed it would be saucy in some way. So imagine my surprise when the movie opens and I just hear a J.K. Simmons voice coming out of this alien butthole painting in this stall. I was like, oh, this is not what I thought.
It's the alien. It's not the alien's butthole though.
It's like a mouth. It's like a mouth, butthole, head kind of thing. Like,
yeah.
It's a Lovecraftian thing.
Well, there's a female form,
Sure.
but then with the like alien head on it.
Yeah, the alien head ruins it though.
It definitely makes it less sexy.
Yes.
For me. No judgment, though, for anyone else.
I'm very excited to get in this movie, so let's take a quick break and review Glorious.
This is it, Jennifer. Your big break in TV. From the prime time. Main feature.
John, I don't know what it's like down there in New York City today, but in beautiful pastoral upstate New York, it was cool in the mid 70s. It felt like fall today. It was pretty delightful.
It was hot. I mean, it was
Really?
not like hot, but it was not. It was warm.
Concrete jungle, man.
I'll be moving upstate tomorrow, and I saw it's going to be in the 40s in the evening on, I believe, Friday night.
Pretty excited. I'm done with summer.
That's good bonfire weather.
Fuck yeah. The first thing I said to my wife is, fire pit is coming out.
Yeah.
So when you say you're moving, what does that mean?
Well, like we bought this house, which I
Sure.
have taken some grief about our second home, our vacation
Rightfully.
home, whatever you want to call it, our country house, if you want the pretentious version, Eric. Our country house. And so we go up there. We're gonna go up because the kids don't have school. This is their last Friday without school.
Gotcha. Okay, I see what you're saying. Yeah.
So like we're gonna go up tomorrow afternoon, and then we'll stay through Monday.
You
'cause
said moving.
holiday
You
week.
said moving in, which you
Well,
understand confused me.
relocating
technically.
for the weekend. Yeah.
Yes.
I got you, John.
Do they start
Thanks.
school?
Thank
Do they start?
And
School,
you know about country houses, Casey.
Yeah.
Do they start school next week?
Yeah, they don't start. And this is like, if you really want to go get me on a rant, this is like a topic you might want to continue on, but they don't start until Thursday.
Damn.
That's weird.
Ours started at the end of July.
School?
That's crazy.
Yeah.
No.
When do they stop?
Yeah.
What the fuck? What?
I mean, a lot of schools.
Like
I
the
guess,
last,
start-
like the last Thursday of July.
I mean, honestly, with like a 3 and a 6-year-old, sure. Like, let's go.
Yeah,
Get
I
them
mean,
back to
yeah.
school.
wouldn't
Like,
fight. But like Casey, when do they leave school? They must be done then at like the end of May or like end
Yeah.
of. Yeah, I was gonna say.
yeah, see, here they go through June.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Ours are done about May. I'm a little
Fascinating.
rusty now, thankfully, because my kid's been out for a couple years.
Yeah.
A few. All right, John.
Mm.
When those kids go back to school, you know what they're going to do?
Just like anything but be up
They're-
in my grill all
they're-
the time, which is what they do right now.
They're going to learn words, my friend.
Mhm.
Words.
This is what my daddy drank.
Please bring us, Mr. Schnars, the word of the day.
Eric, today's word is lore. That's Lore. Lore. I
Mm.
checked. I've never used it before.
Wow.
Very excited about that. A body of traditions and knowledge on a subject or held by a particular group, typically passed from person to person by word of mouth. Lore. And it comes to us from the Germanic via Old English lar.
John,
which
did you
means
say
instruction?
John, did you say it's passed from person to person via the mouth?
Yeah, by word of mouth. So,
oh,
you know,
okay. Gotcha.
you could say orally though.
I thought this was
You
like,
could say oral.
okay, we can. Let's say it. I
Yeah.
thought this was like an It Follows kind of situation we were dealing with here.
Well, it's not like that.
As my
That's-
father always said growing up when we were teenagers, safety is no accident.
Did he say that? My parents never said things like that to
He
us.
said it constantly and in front of other people just to be embarrassing.
Didn't he worked in insurance? Is that right? Am I
Yes,
getting
he
that?
still
Am I
does, yeah.
remembering correctly? Yeah. So, there you go, insurance people. But I was the one note on lore, if you'll allow. Same root apparently as learn, which I thought was interesting.
Hmm, that is
Mm.
pretty interesting. I
There you
love
go.
it. John, tell me about Glorious. This is an actual like Shutter. It's marked Shutter exclusive or something right now, I believe.
Yeah, Shudder bought the North American rights to the film. So it's the only place people are watching this is on Shudder, which, in my opinion, is the only appropriate place to watch a movie like this. But
Fair.
we can get to that. Yeah, I mean, Casey has some personal backstory with this that he can share, but very quickly, directed by Rebecca McKendry, from a screenplay by Joshua Hull and David Ian McKendry, the husband of the director, Rebecca, and from long, deep BGH lore, one might say, contributor Todd Rigney wrote the story.
Yeah, Todd was like the OG prolific BGH writer. So that dude back in like 2007, when we were really firing up, we started the show that year. He was writing for us. He was never on the show, weirdly enough, but he was well, that's a lie. Maybe he was on the show actually. Now that I think about it,
He might
Didn't he
have
come
been.
on for Found?
maybe. I don't know, but anyway, he wrote 2 reviews a week for like 2 or 3 years, like a machine, like never missed one. It was incredible. Super nice dude, really smart. And he wrote years later, we ran into him again at a convention in Indy where we saw his movie Found, and I think we reviewed it on the show. That wasn't like that was another one I think that was based on his story, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because we found out while Todd was doing 2 reviews a week for 2 or 3 years for us, he was actually writing novels at the same time.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah,
Dude
novels
just
like short stories and
likes
stuff like
to
that.
write, man. But yeah, so yeah, it's interesting to have his name pop back up. He's,
And like I had no idea. Like it literally was the credits rolled, and I was like, "Oh, Todd."
I
Yeah.
didn't see it. I wouldn't have seen it unless you'd brought it up.
Yeah. Casey, you said you know the one of the screenwriters here. You've met him.
Yeah, Joshua Hall's from here in Indy. He's a brewer, actually, for a brewery called Scarlet Lane. And I know we have a lot of listeners out there that have enjoyed Horror Hound Weekend. And if you've been there the last few years and never had the Horror Hound beer, Scarlet Lane Brewery is the brewery that makes that beer. I've known Joshua for a couple of years. We met a few times there at the brewery and whatnot. Actually, it was due to Joshua's efforts with a local movie theater down the street from me that I got to see The Void in the theater for a midnight screening when it first came out. He helped organize that. So, yeah, I saw him posting a while back that this was getting made, and he started once he let the news. He's written some other books out there as well. There's some. He's got a great like coffee table sized book on the best movies that were never released. Talking about some horror movies and stuff that were never released. I recommend searching that one out. That's a good one too. He's just a fun guy with a really strong appreciation and affection for horror, and he's a nice guy and fun to hang out with. So I was pretty impressed to see that this came out of him.
I love fun guy. John, tell me about Glorious.
Yeah, I mean, you spoiled the big, I don't know, reveal. I knew nothing about what this movie was about, and so like fired it up. I think in the Shudder description it might mention something about like a men's bathroom or something like that, and so then pretty quickly when you're introduced to the glory hole in all of its glory, you sort of start to put it together. The basic plot here is that you've got Wes. We meet Wes. He is driving with a car full of stuff. He's sort of despondent. He's got like a teddy bear on the dashboard, and we're seeing in sort of snippets of flashbacks and shit like that that he's running away from a breakup or the ending of a relationship, and so he's very upset. He is falling asleep at the wheel. He pulls off the highway and stops at a rest stop. He has a weird interaction with a woman, dressed like a trucker woman, but she's not driving a big rig. I don't know. It was very not 100. I don't even remember exactly what the hell goes on in that interaction, other than he gets a chocolate bar out of it. But he then goes into the bathroom. He sees this glory hole, and then he tries to go out here and realizes he's now like trapped. Sorry, I skipped over. He burns a bunch of stuff. Like he lights this fire, burns all of these sort of pieces of mementos from his relationship, and that's sort of like him purging the relationship. And while doing that, he chugs a bottle. He chugs like a fifth of whiskey. So when he goes into this bathroom, he then passes out. He wakes up the next morning and he can't get out. Then J.K. Simmons begins to speak to him.
His glorious baritone begins bellowing from the glory hole painting.
Yeah, and so that's it. I mean, the rest of this movie, and this is not an exaggeration, the rest of this movie is set in the men's room bathroom. There are a couple of like flashbacks / sort of imagined sequences. There's some effects sequences that sort of transport you, but it's a solid 60 plus minutes, I would say, in the bathroom.
Hot.
With drama.
We've all had those days.
I mean, it shouldn't take 60 minutes, John, but anyway.
No, or you might want to get something checked out.
Right. All right, Casey, tell me what you thought.
So I think it's pretty well known around here. I'm a sucker for anything cosmic horror, and I was pretty excited for this one going in just because the setup sounds insane. A cosmic glory hole story. And ultimately, I was not disappointed. I enjoyed this quite a bit. And really, the fact that it rests on Ryan Quanten's shoulders and J.K. Simmons' voice is impressive, and they pulled it off. That's what's even more impressive, and it's kind of fun. It gets a little goofy and it's out there, but I expect that for a cosmic horror movie like this. And I feel like they also didn't take it super serious. There was some chuckles and some humorous moments in there too that helped lighten it up. So yeah, I don't know that it's gonna make my top 10 for the year, but I really enjoyed it and had fun watching it.
I really enjoyed this movie. Man, it crossed that bar for me. That's like my litmus test these days, which is super original, super memorable, really tight. It's like an hour, 18 minutes. Like literally, I was joking. It's my number one movie of the year because it's an hour and 18 minutes. And it's like, to be fair, is probably stretched into an hour 18 in some ways, which I'm sure John's going to bring up. But man, I dug this movie a lot. It's a great example of an idea that is made or broken in the casting. And I think, what's the main actor dude's name, the one you see?
Yeah,
Ryan Quanten.
Okay, and he was on True Blood, I believe. So
Yep.
he's really good, but it's like, it's J.K. Simmons to me that like steals the show in this thing.
Oh yeah.
And man, you don't get that casting right, and this movie is unwatchable, I feel like. But he has so much. I really enjoyed his like almost detached, sentient robot kind of reading. Like it's dramatic, but at the same time cosmic and detached in a way I really liked. It's written really well. I really enjoyed their conversations. Shockingly, like they bring another character in briefly in the second act. And normally in a movie this sparse, I'm like, oh man, they need something else. I didn't like care for any of that really. I was like, I'm enjoying this like back and forth so much. I didn't need another person almost. And it doesn't even like, we can talk about it. It doesn't really serve the plot at all. It's more just a bump to speed things along, or so, I don't know. But I really dug it, and I think that it's got. I liked the slow unraveling of character development on the our main character dude here. You know, a lot of it is very silly. They go for a couple of like, I would almost call like Family Guy-esque jokes. And I mean that in like it's all about the timing. Like they're trying to be like cheeky with the timing and stuff. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't, but I found it all like pretty endearing. The mythos is like real silly and arbitrary, but like, you know, it's a movie about a glory hole. So like, what are you going to do? And there's like a really funny, we can talk about like, very telegraphed scene at the end where he gets ready to do the sacrifice and has misunderstood what is asked of him. Like, of course, because you just like, we'll talk about it, of course. But that was a joke where I saw it coming and it like really paid off for me. So that's what she said. So anyway, I liked it. I dug this movie a lot, and I think this is gonna make my top 10. I just don't know where yet.
Oh, wow.
What do you think, Schnars?
Oh boy. I'm definitely gonna be the party pooper here.
Damn it.
I agree with a lot of the things that have been said. This movie is super original. It had never crossed my mind that there might be a movie about a cosmic glory hole. So, you know, kudos in that regard. I'm trying to think of where I want to start. So I think a lot of it for me starts with I did not love Ryan Quanten. I'm not familiar with him. Like, he's been in things that I, in theory, have seen. Like, he was in Dead Silence. I've seen that. I saw it in the theater.
Oh, that's the other big one. Right.
Knights of Badassdom, which we watched.
We did that on the show. That was Joe Lynch.
Yeah.
Yep.
So he's like been in things that I've seen. I just I could not have picked him out of a lineup. And whether it's him or the screenplay, I don't think he pulls off some of the like headier dialogue. Like, I think it probably comes down to some of the dialogue is a little too stretched. You know, he's like talking to this glory hole to J.K. Simmons, and J.K. Simmons is fine. He's not being asked to like act and speak. You know, it's just a voiceover, and it's not even like a voiceover like an animated thing. It's a voiceover,
J.K. Simmons.
a picture in a on the side of a men's stall with a hole in it. So I don't know. Like he's not bad. And ultimately I think I did kind of soften on. Like there were parts in the beginning where I was like, what the fuck? Like when he's like having to act despondent, I felt like a lot of that stuff was kind of like hackneyed.
Interesting.
But by the end, I think it kind of like comes together a little better. So that was kind of the start of like, you know, some of the rough edges. I think the movie, there's two things I would have preferred. One, a much shorter film. Like this is a funny concept, but I do think you could have done this as like a 30-minute segment in an anthology film, or even like a 22-minute episode of an anthology TV show. Like I just think there's a much shorter version of this that kind of gets you to the same place where they're not stretching out a lot of the stuff. And then and so that plays in, Eric, to the part you talked about where like they brought in the other character and I was like, great, like somebody for him to interact with that's not this fucking hole.
It has a vibe of like, I was thinking you could this kind of story would fit really nicely in any kind of like horror anthology show.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, and where it
like
ultimately
where
goes,
you
and
get
we'll
52 minutes or something, where it's like just a little leaner. I could definitely see that.
Yeah, I mean, I would probably push it. Like, I do think it, like the best version, maybe 43 minutes, whatever, 44. That they'll like, you know. But it's gonna be really hard to like not talk about the ending. I don't want to get there quite yet because I have a major issue once you kind of like get all the way through to the end, that I do think is worth discussing. The other thing I was gonna say, and you sort of hit on it. I think Casey brought this up. Like, it's just like it doesn't really know how funny it wants to be, or it's not. Maybe I think either they thought it was going to be really funny and like a lot of it's meant to be funny and the jokes aren't landing, or it sort of is like not fully committed to being as funny as it could be. It's a funny setup, and I think there's a lot. You sort of said like there's a lot of the jokes where they expect it to be like, can you believe he's still talking to this glory hole? And that stuff didn't work for me.
So what I would say is I don't think I would agree. I don't think it's like 100% hit rate. But there was a good amount that I thought was funny. Like one moment I really enjoyed J.K. Rowling asking him if he wanted to know exactly whose poop was. J.K. Rowling, what the fuck? J.K. Simmons. I can't.
You're a wizard.
There are two people on Earth whose names are J.K. and no, I can't keep them straight.
Yeah,
when he was like, asked him if he wants to know, like he's trying to prove to him that he's a deity, and he asked him if he wants to know exactly whose poop and vomit he had wiped on his face from not being able to wash his hands. That was funny. Like those kind of little liners hit really well. I actually thought that stuff is funnier than where they are going for the real big jokes. Like one thing I think it doesn't work, and it's because of some like sloppy directing and editing, is these jokes where he's talking and he's like peeing. And so it like interrupts and then he goes again. Like I get what they're doing there, but it didn't like fight.
Well, it just feels weird at that point in the movie because that came pretty late in the film.
Yeah.
So
it hasn't been.
And they repeated too many times too.
Yeah.
They pulled that stretch of that joke too much. And you're not wrong. I mean, I don't think this is like top level professional Chris Rock type humor going on here or anything like that. More than anything, the humor in this movie and like the setting and just the story itself really kind of helped make this feel like a classic 80s type B movie, low budget kind of movie. It's that kind of humor, and that's the light that I started taking it in as. That's where I appreciated that humor. Yeah, they're stupid jokes, but I think for what they were going for, it just kind of worked for me.
I do look. I tip my cap on as we mentioned, like how inventive of an idea. Like this is truly an innovative horror concept, at least in my book. And the like gore and some of the effects like are better than I was expecting. So
I love it's very gory. I also super dig all of the Lovecraftian kind of cosmic horror stuff going on. I would I would watch a featurette on like how in particular they did that big beast thing at the end with all the tentacles, because it almost looked like they might have shot it at a smaller scale and like projected. Like there's something really practically and interesting going on there that I was like pretty into.
Well,
Yeah.
definitely, it's not CGI. Like, it was not 100% CGI.
And those
anyway, right?
moments,
It's-
you know, again, like the whole movie takes place in the bathroom, but those effect heavy moments are sprinkled throughout in a way, and they're done in a way that gives it a lot of feeling of scope. Like it sells the cosmic part of it by I think like how good those effects are.
they're doing
Yeah.
as much as humanly possible to make this bathroom feel
Yeah.
interesting. and-
Totally.
But like the
So-
reveal of J.K. Simmons's creature and everything was like old school monster filmmaking
Yeah.
too. The way they set it up, and he was telling him, "Don't whatever you do, don't look in the hole. Don't look at me. You can't handle it. You're gonna go crazy," which is a pretty strong staple for cosmic horror. And then they I like the way they played with the tension of that when they finally revealed him too. And then it was ridiculous. You expected it to be, but there's a nice tension there. You're just like, oh yeah, of course it's ridiculous.
Do you want to talk about kind of where it develops, John? Like where it goes?
Yeah, I mean, so like I particularly want to talk about sort of how it concludes, and like I don't know, this is like we should lay down a pretty heavy spoiler warning, because if you're at all interested in this movie, I don't want to
I
ruin
agree.
the ending. for
Yeah, it's a
people.
movie that's sort of like part of for me, the joy of it is like watching an unexpected thing unfold that you don't know where it's going to go. So it is worth, I think, pausing maybe.
So yeah, okay, this is that pause. Here's the thing. It is revealed. So the monster he was a Titan, I believe is how he wanted to be referred. He was like the son of a god, or I can't remember, but he keeps talking about the fact that like, we've been brought here together at this time in this place because I need you to like stop me from like whatever destroying the universe. It's a little convoluted, which is another. I mean, and you all mentioned like, and some of that's like I think meant to be funny, but some of it's also I don't know, it didn't work.
To be fair, that's also a fairly big staple of cosmic horror stories. It's convoluted as hell.
Yeah, fair. I mean, I get it. I mean, so he stops the demon by not. I did appreciate when he sticks his his member into the glory hole, and
Meckle.
he's like, "That's not the donation I want," or whatever. Like that wasn't. You think that was enough to save the earth?
Their whole back and forth right there, I really enjoyed. It was really funny.
Yeah,
That was such a great scene too, and like a peak of the comedy, because everybody watching this movie, and he keeps talking about he needs him to make a sacrifice or whatever, or a donation,
Well,
and we're all waiting for it.
And they tease that too because like 10 or 15 minutes earlier in the movie is when he first kind of talks about like, here's what you have to do, and sticks his little like weird tentacle thing out. So we're already like,
Right.
they build up anticipation that this has to happen before we even come back around to it.
Yeah. So then it's revealed he has to like donate his liver. He like stabs his own liver with some glass, and then like a tentacle thing sucks out a piece of his liver, and the world is saved. And what's revealed in the very final moments of the movie, like you get this J.K. Simmons voiceover, which like I don't know. Here's a question: where's the voice coming from? Because the thing is gone. But putting that aside,
He's just back in the ether, John.
yeah,
The
okay.
giant hole in the wall.
Yeah, he reveals that, or it is revealed that that this guy Wes is actually a serial killer, and like the breaking up with his girlfriend was a girlfriend and someone I think that he was like connecting with at a deeper level. She discovered that he was a serial killer, so then he had to kill her, and so he's like despondent about that. I have like a very wide range of issues with this. One is like you then realize, as someone who's been watching this movie, that this guy that you're like, I don't know if you're like rooting for him, but certainly you are like, asked to identify with him. You've basically been like lied to about him and what his deal is for the entire movie. And so like he dies, he is punished, but you actually don't get the like the emotional impact of his punishment for the crimes that are revealed at the very end, because like you were just told a second ago that he's a serial killer and now he's dead. So like it just that mechanically doesn't
Yeah,
work for me.
Yeah.
I don't know that I always would, but I actually enjoyed the ambiguousness of it. I would also argue that he is immediately coded as off when we see
Well,
him
yes.
Yeah.
leaving those
He's
like
weird.
psycho phone messages. So like I feel like the movie's kind of teasing that this dude is like kind of not all there kind of from the beginning. But I mean it is a hard
Yeah.
turn, I do agree.
I see
Well-
both sides. I think they just failed to set that kind of ending up on us. There was no hints towards anything of that other than he was kind of unsettled until all of a sudden, oh yeah, he was a serial killer.
Well, and like there's the box that they keep like kind of like highlighting the red box, which is then revealed that that's where you kept his serial killer mementos, and that is what he burned. And like so when he was burning all those things, I'm like, why are they not showing us these images? Because like he's looking at them, but they're not showing them to the audience. So then here's like so what I was describing there was sort of like structural, like I don't know, screenplay issues. I would say filmmaking issue, and I guess you could put this on the screenplay, but it's really more probably like director issue. Is like they're just lying to us as an audience. Like there's like critical information that is like available to all of the members of the film. So Wes knows he's a serial killer, but the monster knows he's a serial killer too because it
But
knows
we don't.
everything, and we don't.
Right.
And
So
that's
so
just,
you're
like, a
saying
weird-
you're saying there's not a cipher for which we would
Yeah.
be ignorant through.
There's no it's a weird setup where like dramatic tension is when like the audience does something that the characters don't and you're like, oh, when are they going to figure this out? This is like the inverse or the opposite, which does not work in my opinion.
Yeah,
Which is
that's-
like the film lies to the audience about what's happening because again the demon knows what's going on or the monster knows what's going on. Wes doesn't know, but it's only revealed to us what Wes doesn't know in the very last minute of the movie.
Right.
And so like it's all like I just was like at the end I was like, what the fuck? Like what?
Yeah.
Like it felt like I was basically lied to about what I was watching for 78 minutes. And then in the last minute it was like, psych. And that's where like
John,
to
can I ask
me,
you a question?
you could kind of get away with that in a 22 to 45 minute thing, but I
Can
don't know.
can
Sorry,
I
I'll
ask you a
stop.
question, John?
No.
How did you feel when you
Sure.
watched this movie? How were you feeling that day?
I mean, it was fine. Like I was, and I was kind of like, when I realized how like sort of kind of goofy and off the wall it was. I was like, all right, let's see where this goes. Again, by the end, I was like already kind of annoyed because it was a little long at that point. I was like, all right, we like this. And then when they reveal that, it's just like, guys, like what?
Yeah.
So,
Well, it's kind of, I mean, I think we're kind of saying the same things. And it comes down to that argument that ultimately that big twist wasn't necessarily earned. It feels kind of like an info dump on us. And then we're just like you're saying with us, the viewer, you're kind of like, okay, well, what do we do with that? And for me, I understand why you're frustrated with it. I think I enjoyed the zaniness and the cosmic parts of this enough. At that point, I was just along for the ride because at that point, I didn't even think twice about it when that was revealed. And they moved on from it and didn't really linger on it. So I was kind of like, whatever. I almost forgot about it until you brought it up.
but that's weird because
Yeah.
then all it is a movie about a guy who has to like sacrifice himself to like save the world from a bathroom
Yeah.
demon thing, which is like also a fine like aim for a movie, but that's where it's like you could do that movie in 20 minutes.
Right. No, I 100% agree. I think this would definitely be a lot more solid as part of an anthology. Even if it was like a Tales from the Crypt episode where it was an episode itself of an anthology of an overall anthology, it would work in that format too. You know, like you were saying in like the 45-minute range, I think it would be really tight and I think it'd be really effective.
Yeah.
Because there are moments where it does feel like it's stretched a little bit. And I would say that some of those problems that we're talking about, like with that whole serial killer angle, could be stuff in other movies that we've reviewed that are longer. We would probably be talking about maybe those end up on the cutting room floor, those hints and stuff. But I don't know, with as short as this movie was, why would they have cut that? Because they don't have much room to cut, right?
Yeah.
John, did you have a favorite moment in this movie?
I did like when the wall gets blown out and like the father demon, the father evil tentacle god shows up. Big fan of that.
Yeah, I think they visually did all that stuff really well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Casey?
I like
I-
how I really
Go ahead,
enjoyed
Casey.
how towards the beginning when J.K. Simmons started using the stall painting as a whiteboard, a cosmic whiteboard, and was explaining the story to him. I thought that was fairly clever.
I also liked. I mean, it's like sort of a silly, almost like a stretch out the movie moment where he thinks he's escaping via
Yeah.
the grate, and he like climbs through this like air conditioning duct, and they shoot it in a fun way where it's like he's like climbing at angles, and it's a little disorienting where you're like, where is he going? But they like show him coming out. We know it's like the bathroom, and he's not really up, and so he's like, how the hell?
That was a
But
cool.
Yeah.
You know what
yeah,
that
he like climbs out and then falls.
this is a completely random and off subject, but that reminded me, the way they did that reminded me of the movie Cube. I don't know if you remember that movie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But they like
Yeah.
I remember watching a thing where they had one room built of a set, and then anytime that they were like coming in or out of it, they would just CG the previous one behind them, and then would code it with just different colors so the rooms look different or whatever.
Yeah.
It's kind of cool.
I got a chuckle out of that vent scene too, with the fact that J.K. Simmons was talking throughout the whole thing, and you could hear him getting fainter and stuff. And then once
Yeah.
he comes out, J.K. Simmons is still talking like he knew he was in the vent the entire time,
Yeah.
like nothing ever happened.
That's like one of the other hard parts, and it comes back to like my issue with the ending. It's like the god monster thing is basically not omnipotent. Like it knows everything, but it's also like it can do anything, right? And so that it undercuts some of the tension. That's where, again, I mean, I hit on it before. Like the movie couldn't kind of decide how like goofy it wanted to go. I would have preferred the goofier angle because the monster, the god, can do whatever the hell it wants. So like go full fucking goofy. I agree with you. Like with the way it was like sketching on the stall door, like that's the kind of stuff that you have license to kind of do any of that. And like, look, it's a small budget movie. I'm not trying to like bust balls. And they did a really nice job, frankly, for like what was probably a quick shoot in a very confined space. And they do make it feel bigger than it is. But yeah, like when you have a antagonist or character that's that all powerful, it undercuts some of the tension, because it's just like, well, it could just kill him whenever it wants, or it could suck out his liver in theory, So
Would you recommend this movie, Casey?
Yes.
John?
I'm gonna go no.
I say yes. There you have it. You've been overruled, John.
Fair enough. That's it's how democracy works.
You're being voted off the island.
It's a 2-man episode next week.
Just kidding. I can't quit you.
Mm.
All right, everyone. Let's take a quick break and do some fan mail.
The shape, the face, the town, the night. 10 years later, he's back. Halloween 4, The Return of Michael Myers, rated R.
Starts Friday at a theater or drive-in near you.
Hey, this is Sasha Jensen from Halloween 4, and you're listening to Bloody Good Horror.
Send feedback to info@bloodygoodhorror.com or on Twitter using hashtag AskBGH. Join Patreon to get back episodes and much more. Patreon.com/bloodygoodhorror.
Don't fall asleep, John.
Mm-mm.
You know,
The face,
I've
the name,
yeah, dude.
the
You know what?
town.
I was feeling so Halloweeny today, John. Somebody's had a fire going in my neighborhood. It was wafting in the window. It's I'm ready.
The pumpkin spice is back.
I know that's not my jam, but well, that's not true. I will bake and like make things with pumpkin spice. I'm just not into like Starbucks stuff, but I'm ready. I'm ready. So I took a look at my top 10 list. Would you like to hear my top 10 list, John? I've got a full 10.
Yeah.
So here's what there's only one answer to that. So here's what I did. I finally bumped Scream.
Ooh.
Okay, fair enough.
I just don't. Nothing was memorable about that movie. I
But
feel like.
you bumped it, and you're putting Glorious on.
Yeah, and I swapped some things around. I've been ready to quit Scream for a little while now. I've just been like looking for the right movie. So here's
I'll interrupt and throw out a spoiler that Orphan 2 bumped Scream from my list.
Yeah, well, it's all Orphan First Kill also on my list. I'm feeling a little chaotic energy with my list this year, John. It's one of those years. You know those kind of years.
I'm gonna have to check out Orphan First Kill ASAP.
Yes.
I actually did go to try to watch it and realized I didn't have Paramount.
Dude, we were like
we were
four thumbs up on that shit.
Yeah.
Top 5: Nope, X, Prey, Mad God, Spine of Night.
Okay.
Bottom 5: number 6, Orphan First Kill. Number 7, Fresh. Number 8, Watcher. Number 9, Torn Hearts. Number 10, Glorious.
Okay.
And I would say my bullpen.
Glorious hanging on for its dear life.
Well, yeah, I mean, there's a lot coming out this year. We'll see. I will say my bullpen right now for like honorable mention would be Scream, since I just bumped it, and The Cursed, the movie that I can never remember what it's about.
I did like The Cursed. I've been reminded because of the last time you couldn't remember what it was, and I had to go look it up, and then I was like, that's a pretty good movie.
Man, it took me to. It occurred to me this week that Caitlin's not here anymore. Anybody who missed that, Caitlin is taking a step away just to kind of like free up some bandwidth in her life, and that meant nobody was filling out the episode guide. Oh, look at someone did it.
I started to do today's.
You did it, John. Look at you, you glorious son of a bitch. I love it. All right, info at bloodygoodhorror.com. I guess before we do that, we can just talk a little bit about Patreon. We are transmitting in high definition video to YouTube right now. Video, that's right. You can see Schnars. You can see Casey vaping over there. You can see me.
Glorious vape clouds.
You betcha.
And you actually, I guess you could go through your Patreon post when you sign up too and get like, just scroll through and get any of our episodes on video pretty much. You can go back because they're all on YouTube. And those links stay live. So once you get them, you can go back and that's there. You can get classic episodes at any level now. You get the classics, Patreon classics feed. It was like a little shaky there for a few weeks. I've been kind of dealing with some health issues, but last week I got on it, I cleaned it up, and it's now scheduled through Halloween. So that those drop Monday morning, 7 a.m. in the BGH Patreon podcast feed, which if you have the Patreon app, it's fairly easy. You basically just grab the audio RSS feed link and you can put that into any podcatcher type situation. So I think that's one of the more interesting things happening right now. I've sort of been curating them by week, and I'm getting a little braver with like how far back I go, like in the vault, and I don't listen to them at all. Like I flip through very quickly, if at all. So you never know what you're gonna get, John.
Yikes.
And at some of the other levels, you get all the episodes. So, and you can do what Caitlin is doing. Caitlin from Kissimmee, which is doing, what did she say, Casey? Her like 5th full listen of every episode?
I think third.
I mean, you're talking.
It's a ridiculous number either way.
Almost 700 episodes. Yeah. So speaking of Caitlin, info at bloodygoodhorror.com. She wrote us in this week. Bloody Hell on Shudder is so fun. A welcome break from the new normal this year, for sure. I don't know what that is.
I don't know that I do either.
Bueller? Oh fuck, I forgot. I missed part of this email. What was that Australian movie that we did about the road?
Oh God, I know exactly who you're talking about.
Yeah, me too.
Fuck. It's in the subject, and I forgot to copy the subject over.
Yeah, I'm not gonna get it. You're gonna have to
Fuck.
fucking figure that out.
Anyway, there's a sequel to it, apparently. And
Wasn't that one where
Wormwood.
I think Wormwood.
Thank
That's
you.
it. Good call, Casey.
She says, "That's it.
I
That's
was
the
like
news."
saying nasty shit, and didn't like one of the actresses like
One of the
Yeah.
no, it was you or Joe. Well, we were all joking that it was there only one road in Australia, which clearly there's more than one. And one of the actresses heard it and wrote in. Was actually like a very good sport about it, and we largely, I feel like, liked the movie. Other than that, but yeah, we had some interaction. With her
I remember not liking it.
Oh really? We had some interaction with her that was fun. She was a good sport. She says, "That's it. That's the news. Maybe there's two roads in this one." So there you go.
Ooh.
John, did you ever?
What was sorry? What was the movie on Shudder or the thing on Shudder she was talking
Bloody
about?
Hell.
I have not heard of that one. It looks interesting.
Can you see it, or did I just read Did I confuse this email?
No, it's out there on IMDb.
That's what it is. Okay.
Yeah.
Came out in 2000.
No, There's a 2021 Bloody Hell. I'm assuming that's what.
Presumably,
Oh.
that's the one she's talking about. Yeah.
I didn't see that.
John, you know what dropped this week that I am pretty pumped about? Did we lose Schnars?
Apparently.
Bummer. Hey, Casey,
Yeah.
you know what came out this week that I'm pretty pumped about?
What's that?
The Terrifier 2 trailer.
Oh, yes.
Did you catch it?
I did. I'm kind of excited.
Yeah, I'm very, very excited. Schnars,
That
are you there, buddy? No, he's not. Go ahead, Casey.
he's having some issues there. That one surprised me though, because that's coming out exclusively on Screambox, isn't it?
Oh, is it Scream? Yeah, it's some like I feel like Bloody Disgusting is behind like putting it out because they've been kind of getting into like genre label stuff the last couple of years. There you are, Schnars.
Right.
I mean,
Oh, he's been unfriended again. All right, Casey. While Schnars tries to figure this out, why don't we hit Twitter?
All right. We actually got a bunch of tweets this week. If you have questions, hit us up. #AskBGH. Our first one comes in from @NSP402, and it's a bit of a thinker. Nathan, the voice of BGH here. Want to say I effing love your show so much. I am working for a media company now and going to start making short films soon. Wondering what some of your favorite horror shorts are. I am a fan of Argento's Jennifer. Myself.
Now, Jennifer was a Masters of Horror episode, right? Would you call that a short? I wonder if that's maybe the realm he's working in. I'm
Yeah.
not. So we should back up and say when Nathan says, I think he goes by Nate. When he says he's the voice of BGH, he means that literally. He's the voice guy that you hear in our bumpers. And he's been our voice guy since like 2008 or 9. Like if you go back in the Wayback Machine, if you're on Patreon, the initial voiceover was this guy named Adam that I worked with way back in the day, like 18 years ago, that did voiceover stuff, and I had him cut our first thing for us. And then I think Nate was a listener, and somehow I had found out that he did voice work and asked him to cut some stuff. And then he's updated it once or twice since then as shit's changed. But yeah, so he's been a long time contributor to the show. It's been a big part of the voice of it. If we're talking that length, I mean, the Carpenter Masters of Horror that he did, Cigarette Burns.
Yeah,
That's
Cigarette
really
Burns was great.
I tagged Elizabeth in this on Twitter because she's like a huge fan of horror shorts and has probably a better memory on this stuff than I do. But
there was another one of those that was like something like Scenes on a Mountain Road or something.
yeah, wasn't that Landis?
Might have been.
Yeah, I remember that.
I watched maybe 10 or even less of those. Like
I'm pretty sure that like we did a couple of mini reviews of Fear Itself. I feel like we crammed in some
Way
Fear
back,
Itself
like
episodes.
that's like first 25 episodes, I would guess.
Yeah. That was trash. Because at least on Masters of Horror, you could get violent and nudity. Like, you could just do stuff and swear. Like, the Fear Itself was just so, God, homogenized for, like, late 2000s TV. It was just terrible. But
Yeah.
so, I don't know. It's a good question. I think Elizabeth is
Yeah.
going to hit him up with some recs on Twitter.
All right. Next up, we have at Leaky Pencils. Excuse me. What's your most horrifying rest stop? Do not go in there story.
I've told this story a couple times, but I ended up at south of the border once, driving. You guys familiar with south of the border?
Yeah, in South
Yeah.
Carolina.
Yeah, driving south from New York to Florida. So you're talking about the road at like a good 13, at least 14 hours at that point. And I mean, I had to go to the bathroom at like 3 o'clock in the morning when that place is like deserted but still lit up, which is like kind of terrifying.
Mhm.
And it's
Yeah.
funny, this movie made me think about it because the stalls in that place, I've talked about this show before. They're like 6 inches thick concrete that goes all the way down to the floor. Like there's no funny business going on unless you two are ready to get face to face together in the stall.
I remember those.
I mean, I've been in some horrible public restrooms, but I don't know if I've ever had one where I was like, holy shit, I got to get out of here.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
There's like my expectations of like public men's restroom is so low that I'm just
Oh.
like pleasantly surprised if it's like kind of nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I don't really have a
I-
lot of experience in women's restrooms, clearly, but like, what do they know how bad men's restrooms are? Like, I
I
wonder.
assume they're like,
Oh, there he goes again.
Son of a bitch. I did one time go into it wasn't a rest stop, but I went into a convenience store in North Carolina once that had like 30-year-old carpeting on the ground, which
Oh.
I just found to be like the most disgusting thing on earth. Like,
Are you back, John?
Yeah,
I
he's here.
honest to God don't like this is the most unbelievable thing. It's like the call is totally fine on my side, and you guys keep saying I'm like glitching out. It's like nothing's roboting. Like it looks fine. I don't know what to tell you.
maybe you should
You
have.
got so,
So
Maybe you should have
yeah,
liked
in my
Glorious.
IT
John.
nerd speak, you've got something down in your hops between us and you.
I don't know. But like the call's not breaking up on my end. I mean, I guess it's just the upload or whatever. The
Yeah,
you know,
you're just chopping.
upstream.
John, what's your creepy
Yeah.
restroom story?
He
Did you
started
not
telling-
hear? Yeah, I was like I don't even have one that I could
Oh, I
name. There's
gotcha.
just so many.
Yeah.
I feel like every time you're going into like a public men's restroom, if it's after dark,
Oh.
forget about it. Just be
Oh.
outside. What are you doing?
I've
Yeah.
told this story on the show before, but I'm pretty positive that I got like cruised once in a bathroom in Florida in a movie theater. Like I was, the bathroom was full. Like, you know, how when a movie gets out, the bathroom just fills up. So I was coming in because I was getting ready to go to a movie, and there were a bunch of people coming out, and this dude like sidles up to the urinal next to me. Which, first of all, like if you can avoid that, don't do that. That's like bad etiquette. I feel like sometimes if it's a packed bathroom, like fine. But he starts like clearing his throat. And like, I'm not thinking anything of it because I'm just trying to zone out and I'm trying to block everyone out. And like, then he fully turns and looks over my urinal and down and then back up at me and was like, apparently liked what he saw. And that was a point at which my brain went, I need an adult. And I basically like pinched it and ran out and like hid. It was pretty terrifying.
Nice.
Yeah.
I guess
All
flattering.
right.
I don't know.
Next up, a longtime friend Joe Ferry at PS Trophy Hunter. I recently saw someone say they don't trust people that drink milk. What's the most untrustworthy drink for you?
I'm pretty with that. Like milk is real gross.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I like milk. Milk is delicious.
Well, you just sit and
My
drink
children drink milk all the time.
But will you sit and drink a glass of milk?
I mean, if I'm having like a piece of cake, maybe something nice and chocolatey, you want a little milk to
breakfast.
cut that.
Nah.
I usually don't drink it just like. Right. I used to all the time, but not anymore.
Honestly,
my dad drinks
that,
milk constantly. It drives my
You're
wife
in-
thinks it's the greatest
You're in the
thing.
pocket
It's-
of big milk, John. That's what this is.
It sounds bizarre, but growing up, my favorite thing, if I wake up in the middle of the night, have to go to the bathroom or something, was getting milk out of the fridge, just drinking it straight out of the jug. It was so
Going
cold. It
back
was
to bed,
super good.
and then going back to bed with milk mouth. That's no
Yep.
bueno. I
Hey,
feel
I'm
like
Midwestern. We all got milk mouth.
I mean, I drank milk growing up as a kid. My parents had it in the house. It was like a staple. I'm sure I had it at dinners and shit. But it was like when I moved out for the first time, really, and moved away. I remember being like, "Why do I do that?" It was just like I was. What you ever like? You just stop and question a thing you've done your whole life,
I don't know.
and then
Maybe, but
and then I stopped.
look, the answer to this question is pretty straightforward. I think it's Four Loko,
Well, that's fair.
or any like. I would actually put like a lot of energy drinks. Like people who drink like, and I don't know. Some of them are very popular. I understand, but like, just drink coffee.
I think
Like, what
if
are you
you're
doing?
drinking,
just
I mean, it is so. I mean, there's a lot of evidence that those things are like real bad for your heart. But I also
Oh,
think
yeah.
if on top,
coffee or
no
energy drinks?
drinks.
Energy
But I
drinks.
also think if you're
Okay.
drinking like full sugar ones, like you just have a death wish, dude. Like what? What are
Yeah.
you doing?
Well, I was gonna say Mountain Dew was the most untrustworthy drink, but I don't know. I go Four Loko.
I actually got one of those Starbucks triple shots a week or two ago. I was in a hurry and grabbing it before work and coming back to sit in my office, and literally like by like 1 o'clock in the afternoon, I was starting to scare myself. I was getting twitchy and feeling weird.
Yeah, it's a lot. and
Man, I had
there's-
to recently I had to quit caffeine because of my stomach. I haven't had any caffeine in like almost a month.
Ooh, poor thing.
You adjust pretty quick, but I do miss.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I miss
I've heard
the
it takes like a week.
I miss the ritual part of it. I feel like.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a big part of it. All right, next up, our good friend at Rachy Pants, Rachel, who's a frequent guest from Zombie Girls. What movie, even if it's one you don't especially love, best captures the essence and terror of cosmic horror? Bonus question: have you ever seen a glory hole in the wild? Where, when, and what did you do?
There's glory holes all over men's bathrooms. This is what I'm trying to say.
I've
Like,
never
it's
seen.
not-
I've never seen one in real life.
You've never seen a real one?
Not in real life, no.
Oh man, I feel like there was.
I've seen them
so
on the internet, but not not in real life.
at Duke University, in the basement of the student center, there was like a specific stall that had a glory hole in it
Wow.
that everybody knew about because like if you went into that bathroom, you were there like doing shit at like
Did the person
sometime.
on the other end have to wear white gloves?
I mean, again, I don't think I ever used the stall, but you like walk by and you're like, huh, there you
Yeah.
go.
Man,
I've seen a couple that in unsavory places, let's say.
Yeah. They're not, I mean, I'm sure that's gone now. Like, just to be clear, I haven't been into that stall in
Yeah.
a long time, but, so
We
yeah,
focused
what
on the bonus question though.
what was it? Well, oh, the best cosmic horror.
Yeah, what movie best captures the essence and terror of cosmic horror for you?
for me, I think it's In the Mouth of Madness.
That's a
So-
good one.
That's like one of my favorite horror movies. I wasn't 100% sure. I guess it counts, right?
It's very
Yeah.
the creatures in that movie are like super Lovecraft, and he's
Yeah.
credited that material with like inspiring that movie.
It's
Yeah, and it's all about the fear of the unknown, which I think is pretty huge in that.
yeah. I was
I-
gonna say like The Void is
Is that the Nick Cage one?
No, that
No,
is
no, no.
Color Out of Space.
Color like that
Yeah.
movie stuck with me. I still think about that movie. How fucking weird that movie was.
it's real weird.
Yeah. I was gonna say, being a geek of
I
it,
don't-
The Void and Color Out of Space, I think were both
I don't
pretty good examples.
I don't remember The Void.
Took place in a hospital.
Yeah, I mean, if
They
you
had
look
look
at
close
the-
out in the
The
parking
weird
lot.
swirlies on their face.
yeah, I think
God,
yeah,
I could
yeah.
like. I mean, I
No,
don't
they
remember.
had triangles.
I remember. Yeah. I remember nothing from that movie. Would we
what
count? I mean, is anything Lovecraftian automatically cosmic?
Yeah,
'Cause
pretty
would
much.
we-
Sure.
Would we count underwater?
I wouldn't say it's full blown cosmic
There-
horror. There are elements.
There's a literal Cthulhu in that movie.
Yeah, but that's like you get to
That's
the
more about
last
the monster
whatever
than
2
cosmic part of
minutes
it.
of that, or not, maybe not that.
I don't
but,
make up the. You guys made up the rules. I'm just living in your world here,
Pretty sure you asked us like a specific pointed
Yeah.
question, but in any event,
leading the witness.
there you go.
All right. Next question from our buddy Mando at Black Metal Jesus. Is there something specific that marks the beginning of spooky season for you? Perhaps a smell, weather, or the appearance of a spirit store?
Yeah, man. Spirit stores. I like that they open up like late August. There's a couple already open around here, but for man, like living in the Northeast, it's a crazy place up here because you can get like a week of -20 in the winter, and then you can get a week of 95 in the summer, and like the swing is harsh. It's at my favorite kind of like transition thing is happening literally today, which is where you just kind of wake up one day and you feel the slightest chill in the air. Like it still might be hot in the 70s or whatever, but there is a textural change to the heat where it's just a little weaker. You start to feel the sun get weaker, the shadows get longer. Like I'm way into that. As people start, and then like pretty soon after that, by the time you're in the end of September around here, leaves are turning. People are burning shit, and it's good. I'm very into the like I guess smells in particular of fall.
It used to be for me like when you first start seeing pumpkin ales and the monster cereals show up, but they're starting to show up now in August too.
I swear to God, it's like 24 or 24. It's like 12 months out of the year you getting pumpkin ales at this point. So
yeah, I haven't seen them as much as my area, but they've been starting to show up. But it's still like to what Eric was saying. It's still like it was 86 degrees today. It doesn't feel like it.
Yeah. I also find that like another smell I really love is like I'm a big connoisseur, John, of grass cutting smell. It's like a big nostalgia point for me. And when I started moving around the country, realized that grass smells different everywhere. Like the grass where I grew up only smells like that here. But also there is a particular smell to grass that is cut in like early October that is like damp and almost dead. That's super fall to me.
It's been super dry. I assume, Eric, it's been dry in Albany too. Like the
Until
grass,
a couple days ago, but it's pretty dead.
Yeah, it was like all nuked. So yeah.
All right, next up from at the Holler Kings, another good horror podcast out there. What's your favorite horror genre anthology show?
Tales from the Dark Side.
Yeah?
It is wonderful and weird and campy, and no two episodes are the same. Has the best intro ever, and it was syndicated, which meant you could just see it at any old weird random time. Yeah, probably on like a UHF station somewhere back in the day.
It was like Monsters was the same deal. I feel like that was like it was like you could always find a
Monsters. I believe was also a syndicated deal. Yeah.
Yeah, it definitely was. I would probably go Tales from the Crypt if I had to.
I think if you're looking just pure like I just have a soft spot for Tales from the Dark Side, but if you're looking at actual quality, it's Tales from the Crypt. I don't think anything's ever matched that quality week to week as Tales from the Crypt did. And it was also like it might be hard for people to understand if they weren't around then, but that show was kind of a cultural moment. Like the Crypt Keeper was like a pop culture thing. They had tons of celebrity cameos and directors, and like it was a pretty big thing, which makes it so infuriating that it's not streaming anywhere.
Yeah. I'm sure the Crypt Daddies can find it for you there.
Yeah, there's a lot on YouTube you can find. This, from my experience with hanging out with
I rewatched a bunch of it. Actually, who was I talking to? I guess I was talking to Jason from Dads from the Crypt, because I was saying like I had rewatched a bunch of them in like 2016, and I rewatched them on YouTube, and they were in full HD, and it was like every episode. I'm like, how the hell is this shit not been taken down? And I don't remember what it was now, but he's interviewed that dude. There's a whole story behind that channel.
Yeah, I listened to that interview.
Yeah, Tales for the Crypt was always mine for pure horror, but like a true favorite that does have some horror in it was always Twilight Zone, though. I was always like way into that.
Yeah.
That and Ray Bradbury stories.
I wasn't old enough, I feel like, to hit the Twilight Zone train. But...
Well, I didn't see it when they originally aired. Let's be fair.
Well, I'm aware.
I saw them in syndication.
You know what the thing is? Like when Tales from the Crypt came out, I was young enough. The Crypt Keeper scared the ever-loving shit out of me. Like I remember, we didn't. I always like this. My barometer, because my parents didn't have. There were periods when I was a kid, my parents were like doing okay money-wise, and then periods were like we very much were not. I knew even as a kid, even like, they weren't really letting us in, but here's how I knew how they were doing. Did we have HBO and Disney? If we had HBO and Disney, because those were both like pay channels, like you had to buy them a la carte, then I knew like things in the house were going okay, John. But there was a time when I remember we didn't have it. I remember sleeping over at a friend's house whose parents let him stay up and do whatever the fuck he wanted to, and staying up late and watching Tales from the Crypt and just wanting to pee my pants. Like the intro to that show was the scariest thing I feel like that's ever been on TV.
That's fair. All right. One moment here. I lost my tab. We got 2 more here. Another one from Mando at Black Metal Jesus. One more. Who is the best Dracula? Christopher Lee, Bela Lugosi, Gary Oldman, or the obvious choice, Sir Leslie Nielsen?
Gary Oldman,
Dead
man.
and loving it.
You betcha.
It's always Bram Stoker's Dracula from Gary Oldman. Fucks in that movie.
Yeah.
I mean, I know where Casey's going.
Oh, yeah.
I think I'm going to go the same place. I really do like Bela Lugosi, though. So,
Yeah.
I don't know.
I like
Christopher
Bella
Lee,
too,
probably.
but Christopher Lee's got his own style.
Yeah.
What about Mr. Burns
Yeah.
when he impersonated Gary Oldman
Yeah.
on that show?
Yeah.
All right, last question. And last but not least, from our good friend at Whitney, please. It's only 60 days until Halloween. Do you have your costume picked out yet?
Dude, I've barely survived summer at this point. I'm just trying to make it through the next like 3 days until school starts again for the kids. So I have not
Yeah, I
considered
know.
this year. I did. I mean, I kind of 2 years ago I went as Schnars.
True honor for me and you.
Yep, I had a monocle and some white gloves and a Ducat. I bought a Ducat from what the hell is that site? Poshmark, where you like people can sell their clothes. So I just have someone's old Ducat in my closet somewhere.
Yeah.
And then
I'm
last year,
offended you're not wearing it right now.
last year I went as Quarantine Schnars, who had long hair.
Yeah.
And then basically the same outfit.
I keep it simple.
Yeah. I probably had a V-neck on or something, or like an undershirt.
I don't know what I'm going to be. I got to start asking the kids because Lord knows they're going to come up with something and you got to like prepare. It's a fucking.
Yeah.
Last year I just took them to like a Halloween store and I was like, look, just pick out a goddamn costume.
I'm
We'll
like
get out of here."
actually, I mean, I'm renting, but I'm actually in a house in a neighborhood where there might be trick or treaters, but like little kids don't want to do that though, right? Like,
Do what?
well, because if we're gonna trick or treat, probably would go somewhere else, like to maybe their cousin's neighborhood or something, which is nearby. I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah, I thought you were saying little kids don't want trick or treat. I was like, what? But
Yeah, I honestly have no idea what we're doing for Halloween yet, and we're so out of sync with October. My wife and I thought for sure it was our 24th anniversary this year, but it's not. It's our 25th.
wow.
So our Halloween plans have changed.
Silver anniversary?
Yeah.
There you go. Okay.
So that will have a strong influence on what we end up doing for Halloween costumes.
Okay.
Is that it?
That's it for tweets.
Love it. Let's see what we got here.
How about Instagram?
Instagram. Shout out to Merle, who writes us in every week and never asks a question. He just makes a joke that doesn't help us. I love you, buddy. Never change. F, Mary, kill, grapes, olives, or coffee.
Ugh.
3 foods that have nothing to do with each other.
Well, hold on.
John, your
Grapes
face.
and olives are like both spherical.
Sure, but they're
like,
not.
hand food
They're not
snacks.
substitutes for each other. They're not like it's not like all condiments. I don't know.
Yeah.
Marry coffee, fuck grapes, kill olives.
Just
It's
kill
like,
olives.
There's
Olives are
no
disgusting.
other answer
Yeah.
in my mind.
I would fuck olives and kill grapes. I prefer olives more. I don't mind grapes. I don't have a problem with them. I just prefer olives.
I can barely be in the same room as an olive. Like I find them that repulsive.
Oh,
Eric, I think you told me at some point that maybe I read this somewhere that grapes have like one of the highest what's it called where it like spikes your glucose response.
They're not
like-
great for your blood sugar, yeah.
Yeah,
But they are healthy in other ways, John.
yeah. I mean,
If you
and
have
tasty.
them perhaps after a full meal of protein and fiber, then you'd be
They
okay.
they make wine too. So
Well, that's true.
Yeah. If you serve olives stuffed with a clove of garlic, look out, because you're gonna want to get out of my way.
settle down.
It's good stuff.
That's funny. Next up from our friend Brian. Do y'all know how much of this straight glory hole talk is making this homo giggle? I mean, listen, we need a glory hole correspondent apparently, because
That's a good point.
Two more questions. Well, one, Elizabeth wrote in, have you seen a real glory hole? I did once on a road trip. Wild. Apparently they're just in Duke. So
Well, I think they're like kind of everywhere.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm surprised if people haven't seen one. You're not using enough public restrooms, is my.
I guess
Yeah.
not. I mean, it's possible I like stumbled into like a bar bathroom at some point and just didn't notice it, because I mean,
Yeah.
those places
It's
are
not.
In my
No.
experience, they're not as well painted as it was in the movie.
every like
It's-
every bar bathroom in America, like dive bar bathroom, is like a murder scene that I'm trying to run in and out of as quickly as humanly possible.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
they're not usually in like establishment like businesses, because the business owner is like, no.
Depends on the kind of
It's you-
business, John.
Well, I guess that's fair. You're right. I shouldn't make broad generalizations like that. However, they're in like public restrooms that are just poorly or lightly maintained,
Right.
Yeah.
because then it's just like, fuck it, whatever.
Think adult clubs.
What I mean, I don't
Strip
even know what
clubs.
that is.
Well,
Oh,
right, like
yeah, I
swingers
mean,
club, that kind of thing. Yeah.
I don't know. Wait, no.
Yeah.
That's kind of it. Someone else just want to know why I hate olives so much. Because they're disgusting.
Wow, real time question.
Real time questions. That's awesome.
They're just disgusting. I've had to eat pizza before that had olives on it, like, and I'll pick them off, but like it doesn't. They've ruined it already. Like, there's no coming back from that.
Totally,
Yeah.
totally agree. Strong. Agree.
You don't like olives either, John?
No. I mean,
Oh.
I will eat them in like a tapenade or something,
No,
but like
I
no,
can't.
no.
Close
Yeah.
runner up, capers, second most disgusting food in existence, which is
I
they're
was going to
basically
say you guys
tiny
are
olives.
clearly not a fan of muffalata.
No,
Hmm.
I have had it actually. I have had it, but no, I did not like it.
I'm a big fan. I'm
Alright.
more savory. I'm more into savory than sweet though, so doesn't surprise me.
That is it for Glorious. Man, we're rounding into fall season here. I mean, I haven't really looked ahead. I know we got Halloween Kills coming up in a few.
Halloween ends.
Halloween Ends. That's
Yeah.
right. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I
Are
think
you guys real quick? Are you guys gonna do movie theater day or whatever the hell they're calling it?
What is that? Where it's all cheap or something?
Yeah, it's $3 tickets, like at
When?
any participating theater.
Nice.
Yeah.
When is this?
Saturday.
Oh, I mean, is there
No, I
anything
probably
out?
won't.
Is there anything out worth seeing right now? I guess that's the question.
Well, no, that's like the joke. They're re-releasing Spider-Man: No Way Home, and like there's like maybe some added shit in it. I don't know. But no, like literally the theater right now, it's like a complete ghost town. It's
I mean,
been
I
a
guess
big
if I hadn't seen
media story.
if I hadn't seen Nope, it would be a good occasion to go do that.
Well, there's the projections I've seen are that Top Gun Maverick is going to get to #1 again.
Ugh, so I got to hear about that dumbass movie.
Um,
again.
I'm going
Jesus.
to my parents for the weekend, and the theater in their own hometown is not part of a chain or anything. It's like a mom and pop place. We call it the Pole Barn because that's kind of like what the building looks like from the outside. And they've
Yeah.
got like 4 or 5 screens, but that dude is the biggest miser I have ever seen. I seen him kick a lady out for bringing her baby's sippy cup in filled with water. And I'm not
Yikes.
joking. There's no way he's going to show a $3 movie.
I was actually like inspired by this Halloween weather today. I was starting to look up my local drive-in to see what they had going on, but they don't have any schedule up past this week, so I don't know if they're doing anything special for Halloween.
There's
forgot. I should check the drive-in at my mom's.
there's a movie that came out last weekend that was #1. I haven't seen anything about it or even heard anything about, but The Invitation, which obviously we've seen another Invitation, but it's also a horror movie called The
interesting.
Invitation. And then there's that movie Beast with Idris Elba that I don't know, like I'd watch it.
What is
it's
that?
It's like Jaws but lion.
Yeah.
You didn't
Looks like
we
that
got
old
the trailer in front
Yes,
of
that
Nope.
trailer looks pretty decent. Yeah.
Yeah,
I
I
do
thought
love
it
that.
was pretty good too. But
Or like Cujo with a lion.
Yeah,
It
well,
looks
yeah, they're like,
it looks like it's directly like a descendant of that Prey movie from the 70s that was super famous for how dangerous it was during filming.
oh, yeah. But yeah, I mean, I guess we'll have to figure out what we're doing next weekend, unless you guys want to do Beast, and we can. I don't know that I'll be able to get to the theater though, so.
Yeah.
Well, we will figure it out, and you out there in listener land can stay tuned to us on Twitter and Slack.
If you got suggestions, hit us up on Twitter.
Yeah. Join us on Slack. It's getting people are starting to get frothy about PSLs and Spirit Halloweens and all that shit's going.
It's about to go off.
This is our Slack time of year when everyone's real fired up. So get excited. So yeah, it's gonna do it for Glorious. Don't forget to check us out patreon.com/bloodygoodhorror. Hope you enjoyed the show, and we'll talk to you soon.
See you.
Bye-bye.